Time now for our rants and raves of the week, starting with you, Dan.
Where's my helmet?
Oh.
I have a rave for President Trump.
Okay.
Because when he appeared before the National Prayer Breakfast the other day, he said that he's going to work to undo the Johnson Amendment.
Yeah.
Or as he put it, he's going to totally destroy the Johnson Amendment. The Johnson Amendment was put through by Lyndon Johnson in 1954 when he was the Senate Majority Leader. There were a couple of nonprofit organizations back in Texas that were trying to unseat him. So they got this law in effect that said no longer can a nonprofit organization engage in certain types of political speech if they want to keep their tax exemption. Now, religious organizations have been trying to get this repealed for years because they feel that it interferes with their freedom of speech. I agree. But in addition to that, you have nonprofit news organizations, increasingly at the community level, that can't endorse political candidates. One of the most basic function that community news projects do. I understand the concern with religious organizations suddenly being able to speak out more politically. I think that we can live with a little more free speech.
Or even having tax-exempt status.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is that means that essentially any Koch brothers project or liberal equivalent will now be able to be subsidized by the taxpayer. I mean, that's a big loss, I think.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right, Callie.
So it was announced this week, speaking of Megyn Kelly, that her daytime slot, remember she's doing two shows, one in the day and one in the evening. And when we first talked about her move to NBC, we didn't know what the timing was. It's going to be at 9 o'clock. That's in the morning, weekdays. And that is the same spot that was accompanied by Al Roker and Tamron Hall. And they summarily dismissed them from that. Al Roker, of course, has a job on Today. She had a job as a host of an MSNBC show, but something went wrong there, and she said, I am out. I am leaving. I think she was highly insulted by something bigger than just the announcement of Megyn taking over the slot. It can be read two ways. They were the only all-black team in that 3-hour Today show thing that happens every day. And they had already said, NBC, that if they were to give the move up Hoda and Kathy Lee, they would not get rid of them. They would just move them up and give Kelly that slot. So it looks to a lot of people that they targeted them, and it's a bad look. But
she left in a huff. I mean,
yes,
they offered her a lot of money to stay.
Well,
I mean,
somebody said that, but we don't know that. Initially, it sounded like they were going to find another space for her. Everything's going to be cool. But then something happened, so I do not know what the deal was. But in any case, this is a big loss. They were very popular. By the way, it had nothing to do with ratings. So that once again, NBC is rolling a big
we shall see.
Dice to see what Megyn Kelly's going to do.
My rave is for Steve Adler, who's the editor-in-chief of Reuters. Every news organization that covers national politics is busy thinking, how do things change in this very different political environment? How does our coverage change? Where do we shift resources? And Steve Adler sent out a memo to all of Reuters, which I thought laid out the case very well. On one hand, he said, how do we deal with an administration, a government that is very anti-media? Well, we're Reuters. We use what we've learned in places like China and Zimbabwe, where the government is not so pro-media. But I think the basic message was, let's depersonalize this. Let's not make this about your personal interests. Let's just treat it like a story. And I thought it was a good advice.
Yeah, it's very interesting, that memo.
Yeah.
John.
Well, I believe he also had a couple of remarks in there about getting our facts straight, and that's my rant. It's for the Fox affiliate in Detroit, which at the height of the uproar this past week over the travel ban, the Trump administration executive order, they ran a sensational story that everyone picked up about a local man in the Detroit area whose ailing mother had purportedly died while caught up in this bureaucratic nightmare trying to get home. And, boy, did that fit right into the narrative of the, in many other cases, legitimate human suffering that was occurring as a result of this fiasco. Turns out, on further review, that was not true. The mother had passed away 6 days before.
Oh, my God.
Story, and it wasn't clear to me that they really bothered to check. They took a single source story.
And a local imam, I believe, came out and said that she had died a week earlier, and he was the one who got the thing going, to say it was not true.
So you add that to other blunders that inevitably will occur, the Martin Luther King Jr. bust being moved out of the Oval Office. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Can't do that, especially not in
No.
this climate, because it feeds all the fake news lynch mob.
All right, well, I have a rant tonight for the NFL because, frankly, if there's a bigger bully in the world right now than Donald Trump, it is the NFL. So this week, they actually excised from their transcripts, the official transcripts of all of those pre-game press conferences, any reference to any political question whatsoever about Donald Trump, about appearances. Could have been, half of them were benign, some of them were a little bit loaded. But when the official transcripts came out, all those references were edited out.
On further review.
Wow.
I mean,
Was the Bowling Green Massacre in there?
there were some other, what's his name, Portnoy from the Barstool. David Portnoy was whining that that he was not given credentials. Well, that turned out to be a little bit bogus as well. I mean, I was going to rant about that, but he had staged that sit-in, remember, in 2015
Outside
at the
the
NFL
office.
offices in New York City because he thought that Goodell and company were overreacting to Deflategate. So they said, we're not issuing press credentials to anybody who staged and was disruptive. And I actually thought that was okay. It was a little bit small-minded, but that one wasn't as legit as. But excising, it's like, that'll make it go away.
Interesting how you're talking about one of the most successful business enterprises on earth.
I know.
Billions and
What do they
billions in
care?
revenue.
Yeah.
What are they so worried about?
I don't know.
Because their ratings are sliding.
Not lately,
Not
they're
enough.
not.
No.
Yeah.